Hello, my beautiful babes. Welcome to your first introductory video on your genetic test. So this is aimed at helping you to interpret your results, but also to help you utilize them most effectively in terms of understanding where to look, what to read, what to focus on, so that you can get the best out of it. But most importantly, just longevity and disease prevention, because that's the aim of the game. So if you are watching this for whatever reason, you haven't yet had your genetic test done, I utilize a company called myDNA. So I do provide these for my Balance Babe community at a cheaper rate than what you will pay if you go to myDNA directly. And the reason I go with myDNA, though, is I've looked at probably about 10 different companies as in their final report. And the myDNA provide, in my opinion, the most comprehensive, easy to understand report, which means you can get the best out of it. I've seen some reports that are extremely complicated, a lot of complexity, and very, very difficult for the average person to really understand and know where to look and know where to start. Now, don't get me wrong, the myDNA report is 100 to 120 odd page, so it is still quite overwhelming. And this is why these video series are going to help you to really hone in on what your goals are, what you're trying to get out of understanding your genetics and how to best support yourself and protect yourself from disease. So first things first, I'm going to share my screen. So give me 1 second. Excuse my, I don't even know how to share my screen. Why is it not showing me where it normally would be? There we go, share the screen. All right, my beauties. So when you get your results back, you're going to receive 2 reports. The first one is a short 6-page report, and that is what I have on the screen at the moment. So this is my report that you're actually seeing. So you're going to know all my dirty gene secrets. But this is the first one here. So over on the left-hand side where you see the gene column and it's written in blue, this is the name of all the genes that have been tested. A lot of genes have different variations and subsets. And so that second category is looking at exactly that. It's looking more at, I guess, the enzyme there that gene controls, the major one. There is many for a lot of them. This is the main enzyme that is controlled. And so to give you, again, I guess, a little reminder about your genes, genes send messages which orchestrate functions within the body utilizing enzymes. So if you have a genetic variation or a genetic mutation, their ability to do their job properly and to send the messages and the enzymes to bring about that change or whatever it is they're supposed to do. For example, let's look at a gene that controls the activation of sunlight. If the gene is mutated, it's usually what that means is there's a dysfunction or a mutation with the enzyme's ability to then send the message to the body to activate the vitamin D. So then, of course, the result would be that we're not activating our vitamin D as effectively, and you might end up with a vitamin D deficiency. Okay, so this is where variations come in. So then that third column along there where it says wild type, this is how it naturally occurs in nature. So if you have letters in that box, you do not have a genetic variation on that particular gene. The next box along where you'll see it written heterozygous, this pertains to the fact that you have received genetic variation off one of your parents, okay? Homozygous on the far right, that means that both your parents carried a variation, and so you have a double variation on what your end result. So our double variations are theoretically the ones where we're going to be most vulnerable, where we're going to have the least amount of functional enzyme activity occurring. And as a result, this is where potentially things could go wrong in your body if in your environment you're not looking after yourself. So what this means to say is that some of the enzymes are still going to be there doing the job. It's only if you're completely, really, nutritionally depleted, highly stressed, really toxic, and that's when you get zero enzyme function, that's when you might start to develop the disease states associated with this genetic variation. Remember, your genes are your destiny, not your not a diagnosis. So this is where epigenetics comes into it. So You might carry a genetic variation, which means that, okay, you're going to struggle with vitamin D deficiency, but if you supplement with vitamin D, you're not going to get the diseases associated with chronic low vitamin D. Does this make sense? So essentially, when we understand our weaknesses, when we understand the potential things that can go wrong, this is when we can now intervene by making different lifestyle choices to support ourselves and protect ourselves. So this is where being proactive with our health and understanding is going to provide you the best possible prevention of any disease. It's about being proactive. It's about taking responsibility for the genes we've been dealt and making the necessary changes to your lifestyle so that we don't end up with a disease. So just so you're aware what these letters mean, for example, under the heterozygous and the homozygous, the letters that you'll see there is an indication of where on that DNA sequence the genetic variation took place. So a DNA strand is made up of a series of amino acids. This is what makes us all very unique and different, because all our DNA is very, very different based on the different sequences of these amino acids. So you don't really need to know that, what the AG or the CT or the AG means. It's just letting you know the technical place and where that variation took place. So as you scroll down this list, what I recommend that you do is really just maybe start to take note, potentially make a list of the genes that you have variations for. To get the best results out of this and out of your report, I do highly recommend that you print both reports. I know that the second report, the one that I'm about to show you, is roughly about 120 pages. It's a big deal, but it is worth investing the money in going to a professional printing place and having it bound as well so that you can access it. For example, this is my report here in the physical form. It's ring bound, it's got a plastic cover, so it's protected. There is so much information in this report. It would be naive to think that you're going to go through it all in one go and nail it all. This is a Bible that you're going to refer to ongoing for a long time. So I've had mine tested for probably over a year, and I'm still making my way through it in terms of rereading and picking up new things and implementing new things based on the information. And this is why I've decided to create this training for you guys, because realistically, it's going to take me just as long to explain everything to you as what it would for you to work your way through it. So if I can give you the tools to help you understand and notice what you're looking for, it just saves everyone a whole lot of time. Like I said before, this company is brilliant in that really the information they provide is relatively straightforward. The overwhelm comes from the fact that it is such a large report and we get confused and overwhelmed and don't know where to start. So my advice is work your way through with the documents slowly and just implementing one new thing a week, even one new thing a month. Okay, remember, life's a journey. It doesn't have to be achieved straight away. And if we take that pressure off yourself of trying to understand and implement it all at once, usually we throw ourselves into overwhelm, our nervous system contracts, and then we end up doing nothing at all because we're so confused and overwhelmed. So set yourself little bite-sized goals. So this now I have on the screen is the larger report. So this is set out a little bit differently. So like I said, all I really want you to do straight up is organize to go and get this printed. I also want you to get a highlighter and read it bit by bit. It doesn't matter how long it takes you, with a highlight, and just start to highlight things that are interesting to you. Take as many notes as possible if things that interest you, and just start to get familiar with the terminology. And that is essentially all that you really need to know about the introduction. Okay. Happy reading, happy printing. That is the first step to understanding your genes.